Okay. All right. So as you start to find a seat that feels good, you might choose to sit on a block, a bolster, even in a chair to begin. And of course, if you're comfortable on the earth, that's great too. We're going to start with a few moments of paying closer attention to our breathing. And you might choose to close your eyes for these next few breaths. And really just turn your attention inward. See how it feels to take a full breath, nice and slow in through your nose. Maybe pause at the top without straining, and then slowly exhale. And we'll repeat this, taking your time, deep breaths in, moment to pause, and slow exhales. And just continue moving at your pace, your breath. Perhaps just observing your posture, noticing if there's space to grow a little taller, and keeping that length in the spine. See where you can relax. Maybe it's the muscles of the face, or softening shoulders down the back. We'll take a few more of those expansive breaths into the deepest part of your lungs. And if you can feel your rib cage expand in all directions, not just the upper chest. Go ahead and take one more full breath with that option to pause at the very top. And then release completely and start to lower chin to the chest. Go ahead with some half neck circles. You can really take your time here, allowing each muscle to have its moment. Perhaps you want to expand those circles and lift your gaze. There's a tendency here to kind of crunch the back of the neck. See if you can keep lifting the chin up and away from the body as you look up. And perhaps after a few rounds one direction, go ahead and spiral the other way. And then let's keep your ear to the left shoulder for a few breaths. Right hand can soften by your right side. You're going to actively press your palm down toward the earth, but maybe start by flexing your fingers away from the ground. See how much length you can create from the shoulder through to the ear. And maybe add some little movements, nodding the head, perhaps flicking the wrist up and down, or even drawing circles with the wrist. And notice if there's any differences when you curl your hand into a fist as you draw those circles. And feel as though you're still lengthening in your spine, staying proud in your chest. And perhaps you take the other arm behind your back and grab your forearms. So you're going to slide your shoulder blades down as you lift up from the chest. You might still tilt the head away from that side and float the chin, perhaps adding some little movements with the jaw or the head. And you're welcome to trace some circles here, or maybe you just find a place that you want to pause and take a few breaths. Continue to expand more spaciousness across the collarbones. And as you breathe out, let's release and reset at center. And then take your ear to the other shoulder. Floating the opposite hand. And perhaps you start by reaching the palm to the ground and flexing the fingers away from the earth. Doing what you can to broaden that front side of the neck, maybe floating up through the chin. And you can nod the head, maybe add movement at the fingers and wrists. You might notice any differences from one side to the other or not. Take these next few breaths to observe. And if you want to sweep the other arm behind you, you're going to grab your forearm, slide the shoulder blades down the back, lift up through the chest, and then maybe tilt the head away from that side, adding those small movements in the jaw, or perhaps slow, larger movements with the head. Again, you can just be still and focus on your breath. Maybe one more cycle. And with your breath out, release and reset. Hands on the lap. Go ahead and slowly look up as you breathe in. And exhale as you lower chin to the chest. One more time. Inhale and look all the way up. And exhale, lower. This time you're just going to gaze forward. Take a breath in and spread your arms nice and wide. See if you can squeeze your shoulder blades together. And instead of shoulders up by the ears, see if you can depress the shoulder blades down the back. Take another full breath here. And then option one, you're going to sweep the right elbow underneath the left and grab opposite forearms. You can stay here and squeeze the forearms or the arms together. You can also press your forearms together, and some of you might bring the palms to touch. So whichever version you're at, keep squeezing the arms together. Notice if your elbows are down low, see if you can lift your elbows closer to in line with your shoulders. And if thumbs are by the face, see if you can encourage thumbs farther away from your face. As you breathe in, we're going to squeeze the arms and look up, maybe arch the back slightly. And as you exhale, curl the elbows in toward the front ribs and broaden the upper back. Do that a couple more times with the breath. Inhale, squeeze and look up. And as you exhale, lengthen the tips of the elbows away from the body as you round the upper back. Once more, deep breath in, lift and lengthen. And on the exhale, round and curl. As you inhale, take the arms wide once again. Take a moment to pause there. Squeeze the shoulder blades and slide them down the back. And then take the opposite arm on top. So whatever side you didn't do, go ahead and give yourself a hug. Option one, stay here, reaching for opposite shoulders and squeezing the arms together. Option two, maybe the forearms squeeze. And three, maybe the palms touch. Wherever you're at, lift the elbows. And as you breathe in, look up. And with your exhale, round just the upper back. Twice more, nice and slow with your breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, curl. Once more, inhale, reach up. And exhale, round. Once again, inhale and unravel. Take the arms nice and wide. Really take up space. And as you breathe in, you can reach the arms high. You're going to interlace the hands and press the palms to the sky. Take another breath in. See how long you can get along the sides of the body. And then maybe rock over to one side. Feel free to release the bind if needed. Use your inhale and abdominals to come back to center. And then tilt over to the other side. Nice. Once more each way. Inhale, rock through center. Exhale, tilt. Last round, use your breath. Exhale over. Come back to center with your breath in, and then cactus the arms wide open, the chest. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, expand. Nice. This time, inhale, reach up. And as you exhale, you bring your hands down to the ground. An option to keep your legs as they are. If you prefer, you can sweep both feet over to one side. We're going to play with a twist. So if it's comfortable to be here, you can also be on a block or on your bolster. You're going to reach up as you breathe in and then turn toward the front thigh with your exhale. Maybe the front arm comes across to the front leg and you can peek over the back shoulder. And do your best to stay tall here. So if you find it kind of rounding and caving in the chest, see what you can do. Lift the heart, maybe even press into the back inside shin to encourage the rotation in the direction you're facing. Nice deep belly breaths. And as you inhale, we're going to release back to center. Go ahead and flip the feet the opposite way if you chose to do so. And as you get set up, take a breath in, reach high. And then exhale, turn toward your front thigh. So front arm might come to the top of that leg, encouraging the twist, but let the majority of the twist be initiated from deep within your core. Nice full breath. And again, you might play with gently pressing that back leg into the earth to encourage slightly more rotation in the direction that you're facing. And you're going to slowly return to center. If it's comfortable to do so, you can place your hands behind you. You can bring your feet onto the earth, nice and wide. And we're just going to swish the knees over to one side and then back through center over to the other side. If you're on a perch here, it might be helpful to come down to the ground if that feels good, depending how high you're seated. Couple more. And with this one, it does help to have the feet wide so that you can get more into your hips. We'll do that just a couple more times. Nice. And then gently release. And we're going to come onto all fours. So I'll meet you there. As you arrive on hands and knees, spread your fingers wide, hands under the shoulders, knees under your hips. We'll start with just a few circles in the hips, and you can, of course, move in whatever ways you feel called. It doesn't have to be circles. These are all suggestions. You might rock forward and back. Maybe tuck your toes and lower the hips and hold. Perhaps with a little rocking in the hips from left to right. And a couple more breaths to just play with shape. You can start to shift forward. And actually, let's bring the knees wide and big toes together. Pause in child's pose for just a breath. We'll come back to it for a little longer in a moment. And as you breathe in, you're going to launch forward. So press the front of the hips toward the earth. Let your toes float off the ground and try to pull your heart forward. Notice if your shoulders are close to the ears, see if you can press down into the ground and stay tall in the chest. And then we're going to shift back toward our child's pose and repeat that. So you can move at a faster pace if you wish, or you can take it slow. We're just going to rock back and forth, starting to open the front of our hips. And it's okay if yours looks a little different here. Everyone's built differently. A couple more rounds to play. And inhale as you shift forward. And exhale as you press back. Do one more round. Deep breath in. And this time as you exhale, you can shift to child's pose and hold there. If you prefer to take embryo pose with the knees together and arms by your sides, feel free. Otherwise, let the head and heart just melt down toward the ground. If the forehead's touching, you might choose to just remain still or add a little rocking motion, massaging the space between the brows, maybe a little wiggle in the hips. And continue with those expansive breaths, long exhalations. If your arms are out long, you're welcome to turn the palms up to the sky for a few breaths. Maybe notice how it feels to reach out the fingertips. Keep the arms straight and pressing into the ground, and energetically feel like you're pulling the arms closer to you. This can fire up those outer shoulder muscles, add a little stretch and strength. Couple breaths. And then go ahead and plant the palms. We're going to rock through to all fours. Here you have the option to play with thread the needle. So start with your hips directly over your knees. If you notice you shift back, notice if you can create a little more space by maybe walking the hands or knees farther away from one another. We're going to start, let's go left arm high to the sky. You can add a little rotation with the wrists at the top. And as you exhale, you're going to thread that arm all the way through, coming down to the shoulder and maybe the cheek. You can bring your right fingertips onto the earth and use that to press the ground away, encouraging the rotation in the mid and upper back. Maybe you stay here and press that bottom forearm down with the palm facing up. You can also walk the top arm toward the top of the mat. And if you like, you can reach that arm high to the sky as if you're spreading the palms apart. Last but not least, you can take a half bind, wrapping that top arm behind your back. And as you press it into the back of the opposite hip, you can rotate that front upper shoulder away from the ground. Couple breaths. Doing your best to lengthen from head to tail. And as you exhale, release. Top hand can ground by your face. Bottom arm's going to sweep up toward the sky. And then return to where you began, maybe a moment in cat and cow. Occasionally I lose sound of my earpiece as I do the other side, so just know we're going to do the same thing. So with the breath in, reach up with the other arm, maybe add those wrist circles. And then as you exhale, sweep that arm all the way under and through. So you're coming all the way down to the shoulder and cheek. I'll just talk you through it. Option to keep that left fingertips on the earth. You might walk the left arm to the top of the mat. Again, you do have the option, but you don't have to, but you can take those arms wide, reaching the left arm high to the sky. And last but not least, maybe that half bind variation behind the back, wherever you are, encouraging that opening across the upper chest and length in the column of your spine. Perhaps one more full breath. And when you're ready to release, you're going to unravel, reach the arm high, and make your way back to hands and knees. You can take a moment here to cat and cow. And notice if you can initiate the movement from the tailbone and just let it ripple through the rest of your spine. Perhaps you inhale, lift the tail, lower the belly, open the chest, and lift the gaze. And as you breathe out, tuck your tail, curl the belly in, and actively press the ground away. Even the tops of the feet can press into the earth here as you tuck the chin. Let's do one more deep breath in. Nice. Come back to all fours. Let's start with the right foot to the back edge of the mat, toes grounded. Notice how it feels to stretch the back of that leg. Maybe rock toward the toes a few times. Awesome. And then go ahead and sweep that leg out wide to the right edge of the mat. Here's where your blocks might be useful. So you can place blocks about shoulder wide. And you're going to send that leg in line with your hip, toes pointing in the same direction as the fingers. See if you can find a nice flat back here, heart reaching forward, tailbone lifting up. And then as you exhale, you can sink back toward the back heel. You might hold or you might flow forward and back a few times. Couple breaths, getting into the inner hips and hamstrings. You might feel it a few other places. Couple layers you can add on here are turning your toes of the straight leg to the sky. You can dig down through the heel. You might continue rocking in the hips or choose to hold with the hips low. Back toes can tuck as well if you want to stretch the back of the bottom foot. Maybe point and flex at the ankle. Another breath or so. And then release back to center. And you can stay as you are. I'll just turn to the side. So let's go ahead and step the left foot to the back edge of the mat, toes on the ground. Drive through that heel, stretch out the back side of the leg, maybe wake up the toes. And then go ahead and take that same leg out to the side so the heel is in line with your hip. Press down through the pinky toe edge. See if you can lift your heart as well as your tailbone so the back stays nice and flat. And then go ahead and rock the hips back toward the back heel. And perhaps you hold and breathe here. Maybe you want to shift the weight a few rounds forward and back. And as we did on the other side, you might tuck the back toes, sink the hips low, maybe hold. Perhaps you rotate the other toes up to the sky. Option to point and flex from the ankle. Couple more breaths. Any combinations are great. And then we're going to release back to all fours. You can keep blocks near either side of the front of your mat for easy access. And we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. So the hips can lift. Go ahead and take a moment to do whatever feels right for your first down dog. Maybe actively bending and straightening one leg and then the other. An option you can play with here is swiveling both feet over to the same side. So you're on the pinky edge of one foot, the arch of the other. You can bend the knees a lot and then lift by straightening the legs and just bend and extend the legs, lifting and lowering the hips, perhaps getting a little deeper stretch in the side body. Then you can swivel through the feet all the way to the other side. Do the same thing here, lift and lower, bend and extend. And if that feels good, you can continue to swivel side to side, maybe once each way. You might prefer to rock forward to a plank position and back to your dog. Do one more breath. And then find a breath in stillness. Perhaps you bend the knees a lot. Press firmly into the entire base of your hands. Really lengthen in the spine. And on the next inhale, gaze forward, walking the feet closer to your hands. Allow a forward fold, draping the upper body over the thighs, maybe crossing at the elbows, and letting the upper body hang. Head relax. Breath is deep. And then we'll gently release the arms and slowly rise one vertebrae at a time. As you make it up to standing, let's add our shoulder circles. Opposite way as well. And take a deep breath in and reach all the way around and up. Exhale, pull the hands into your heart. Ladder forward fold. Inhale, reach it high. Exhale, bend at the knees, hinge at the hips. Inhale just halfway here. Hands might remain on your shins. Notice if you can activate the muscles along your spine. If you're having trouble feeling that activation, glide the hands higher onto your legs. Press the hands into the thighs and squeeze your elbows tighter to the body. I want you to feel all those wonderful muscles at your back working. And on the next breath out, fold forward. Inhale back to standing, reach up, look up. Exhale, draw hands to your heart. Do that once again. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale halfway for just one breath this time. Exhale and fold. Inhale to standing, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And let's add our kneeling lunge next. Deep breath, reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway. And then exhale, ground the hands, step the right foot back and lower to that knee. You can set yourself up with the hands on the front thigh. And if you feel wobbly for any reason, maybe try a broader base by toe heeling that front foot a little wider. You can keep the hands on the front leg. You're also welcome to send that right arm, same side as the back leg, up by the right ear. Notice how it feels to press down through the feet, really right through the top finger. Option, bring the back of the left wrist to the inside of the front knee and squeeze here. So you're encouraging a slight rotation away from the front inner thigh. Another breath. As you inhale, let's reach up. And then exhale, cactus the arms, open the chest. One more of those. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, elbows wide. Nice. Inhale, arms up. You're welcome to keep going with those. Alternatively, you can take this round of half camel. You might use one or two blocks. So you're going to bring a block with you to the back of that back ankle, outer ankle. Turn the fingers in the same direction of the toes. And you can look down at the block. If you need to stack another block underneath, go for it. And then you're going to reach the other arm up. And then slowly start to peel your chest open to the sky. Actively press down with that bottom hand. Feel as though you're trying to drag the back knee forward. And take a few breaths here. This half camel variation. It's a really nice way to open the front of the hips. Yeah, mind the balance. Couple more breaths. And then you can bring that back block with you when you're ready to release and place it across from the front foot for your kneeling twisted lunge. You can do this without a block. You might choose to tuck the back toes and straighten the back leg. Perhaps that top arm wraps behind you for your half bind, opening the chest and the front of the top shoulder. Notice how long you can get from the heel through the top of the head. And with a breath out, we'll release and reset in downward facing dog, perhaps through hands and knees. Deep breath as you arrive. Next inhale, step the right foot forward, lower to the back knee. Find your lunge here. Maybe hands remain on the front thigh. And if you feel like sending the left arm up here, it can sweep up by your ear. Perhaps the back of the front wrist squeezes into the front inside leg and encourages a little rotation here away from the front thigh. Take those full breaths. And on the next inhale, both arms reach up. And on your exhale, palms forward, elbows wide. Again, deep breath in, reach. Exhale, expand. Again, you can keep going with these, cactusing the arms. If you'd like, you can grab one or place both blocks on the outside of that back ankle. Perhaps you start on a taller setting. You can always go lower. Fingers will point in the same direction as the toes. You're going to press down with that bottom hand, reach up with the top. And then once you're there, notice if you can turn the chest open up toward the sky and feel as though you're dragging that back knee toward the top of the mat to encourage more opening in that front hip. Couple breaths, chest stays proud. When you're ready to release, we're going to bring perhaps the block with you across from the front foot. Turn toward the front thigh with the arms wide for your kneeling twist. And maybe you straighten the back leg and lift the knee off the earth. Option for your half bind with the top arm. Again, these are all optional layers. Take them or leave them. Couple more breaths. And when you're ready, exhale, release in downward facing dog. And know that child's pose is an option if that calls you. With an inhale, you can lift the right leg up and back. Option to turn the front of the hips toward the long side of your mat, maybe with the top leg straight, reaching through your heel, or bending at the knee and squeezing the heel in toward your bum. As you breathe in, look forward, step the foot between your hands and spin the back heel down so you can rise to warrior two. Turn to face you. So right knee is bending toward a 90-degree bend, arms floating over the ankles. Option to stay here. You can also cross the arms, maybe right arm over left, grabbing opposite shoulder. If you prefer, like we did earlier, you can squeeze the forearms together and maybe the palms touch. So as long as this feels good, you can be here. If you want to add that movement we did while seated, same rules apply. Lift the elbows in line with the shoulders, thumbs away from the face. And on the inhale, we're going to reach up and look up. And as you exhale, mindful here that you round just the upper back rather than the hips as well. Tuck the elbows in toward the body, broaden the upper back. An option to repeat that. Inhale, reach high. And exhale, round the upper back. Last one, mindful of balance here. Inhale, reach. Exhale, option to curl. Go ahead and unravel the arms, come back to your warrior two. We're going to straighten the front leg, reach high, and then recommit to that bend in the front knee. Keep the legs as they are, reverse your warrior. Right arm reaches high. You might press into the pinky toe edge of that back foot. And then come into extended side angle. So forearm on the front thigh. Top arm's going to sweep up by your ear. Encourage that rotation in the chest here. And find your breath. Some of you might press that bottom forearm into the inside of the bottom leg, encouraging even more space in the front of the hips and across the chest. And with an inhale, we're going to rise upright, turn the toes in the direction of the long edge of the mat, and maybe spin the heels in slightly. Take a breath in, reach the arms up, and then exhale, sink it low into your squat with the knees wide. We'll do that a few times. Inhale, press through the feet, reach through your fingers, and exhale, sink it low with a nice proud chest. Again, press through the feet, reach up. Option to hold the squat low for just a few breaths. Nice. Maybe you lift one heel off the earth and lower it. Option for the other side. Nice. Maybe once more each way, lift and lower. Moving slow. Slow is hard. Let's burst open star pose, take up space. And then you're going to turn to the top of the mat, cartwheel the arms down, and step your feet back. You might pause in your plank. Perhaps you drop the knees and then slowly lower to the belly. Here you can find Sphinx pose or another back bend if you like. Let's activate the back body by pressing the tops of the feet down and trying to slide forward without actually moving, but by pressing your forearms down. Do those slow, full breaths. Ideally in and out the nose, but you can exhale out your mouth. And let's exhale, release back to downward facing dog. Take a moment to arrive. Next breath in, lift the left leg high. Here's where you can turn the front of the hips toward the long side of your mat. Option for that top leg to remain straight or perhaps bend at your knee. Next breath in, look forward, step that foot through, back heel comes down and rise to your warrior two. So you're doing your best to lunge in toward that front thigh. Go ahead and take the opposite arm on top. So whatever side you didn't do, and if you're not sure, that's okay. You can stay here with our Macarena arms. You can also press the forearms together, maybe the palms as well. Go ahead and lift the elbows to prepare. And on the next inhale, reach up, look up. And as you breathe out, option around just the upper back. So notice I'm not hinging at the hips. Again, inhale, reach it high. Exhale, keep squeezing the arms together, drawing space between the shoulder blades. One more time, inhale, reach up. Exhale, round. This time, inhale, open the arms wide. Take a moment, straighten the front leg and reach up on the breath in, and then return to your warrior two. As you breathe in, reverse your warrior. Left arm reaches up and back. You're pressing into the back pinky toe edge of that foot. And then exhale into extended side angle, maybe forearm on the front thigh. Top arm can reach up by your ear. You're welcome to stay here or use that bottom arm to press into the inside of the bottom leg and add a little more rotation here away from the earth. With an inhale, do your best to rise with control and then turn the toes to the long edge of the mat with the heels slightly in. We'll do a couple more rounds of those squats. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sink it low. Again, press through the feet, reach all the way through the fingers. And then exhale, drop it low. One more time. Inhale, arms high. Exhale, option to hold the squat low. This time you might bring hands to the inside of the thighs. You can turn your chest. You're dipping your right shoulder into center, peeking over the left. And with an inhale, come back to center, lift the heart. Exhale, ring out the spine the other way. Option to repeat that. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist. Last one, no rush. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Come back to center and then burst open, star pose. Really take up space. As you exhale, turn to the top of the mat, cartwheel the arms down and step your foot back. Maybe pause in your plank and then lower all the way to the earth. Find your back bend, perhaps stick with Sphinx. Couple breaths. Slowing your exhales down. Might find a slight tuck in the tailbone here for more space in the low back. Awesome. And exhale, make your way back to downward facing dog. Couple breaths there. As you inhale, you can lift the right leg high. And with an exhale, plant the foot between your hands, find your crescent lunge. So option one, back heel is grounded, foot turned out at a slight angle. If you want to focus on a balanced version, come onto the ball of the back foot. So your hips and chest are facing forward. You can totally keep hands on the hips here. You might sweep your arms up by your ears. Notice how it feels to turn the palms to the back wall and actively reach through your pinky fingers. And with an exhale, moving slow here, tilt the chest just slightly forward and then arms sweep down by your side. Palms are going to face the earth. Pause here. Hug those shoulder blades together at your back. And now we'll move with the breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, slowly tilt the chest, sweep the arms. Inhale, reach high, shoulders over hips. And then exhale to the back one more time. This time, inhale, reach up. And as you exhale, hands come to your heart. Take a breath in to prepare. And then option for revolved crescent lunge. Turn toward your front thigh. You might hook the left elbow on the outside of the front thigh. Do your best to keep lifting the heart. You can totally come onto the back knee and focus on your twist here. Wherever you are, keep breathing. You might challenge the balance by peeking over the back shoulder for just a couple more breaths. When you're ready to release, we're going to find runner's lunge. So hands to the inside of that front foot. Take your foot wide, and if you're not already, come onto the back knee. Here's where your blocks can be useful. So you might bring blocks underneath your palms. Hands are about shoulder wide. You can keep the chest proud here, but relax through the head and neck. Notice if you can stack your knee above your ankle here in front. And some of you might lower a little further, maybe coming onto forearms with or without the blocks. You can also place a block under your forehead if you're feeling like you want to get real low here. But know that, yeah, do what works for your body. Lower is not always the best choice. Wherever you are, take those nice intentional breaths with a long breath out. And this can be a deep hip opener. So if it feels better to stay high, that's great. You might see how it feels to press into that front big toe and squeeze the knees tighter to the body. Some of you might try the opposite, flexing the foot in toward your shin, and then with the foot flexed, rocking to the pinky toe edge. And this can work on the palms, on the forearms, whatever you choose. Feel free to toggle back and forth for a couple of breaths. And then one more optional layer. Again, take it or leave it. You can do this on the forearms or on the palms, but you're gonna kind of flare the left elbow out so it's slightly in front of the left shoulder or the left hand. You're gonna reach back with the right arm and maybe just reach back with an open palm. If it feels accessible, you're gonna bend the back knee, and you might start by catching the big toe side of your foot and keeping your chest facing forward. One more optional layer here is to roll your grip over the toes to the pinky toe edge, and then peel the chest open, maybe flare that front knee open for a quad stretch with a slightly different variation. And this can be a lot, so no worries if you're not quite there. Couple breaths. And then we'll shift into a hamstring stretch. So gently release. If you've got those blocks, this is another great place to bring them into play. You can bring blocks closer to you, maybe slide that front heel an inch or two forward. And again, you can bring the earth even closer by coming higher on the blocks, whatever allows you to have a nice flat back. Let's keep flexing the toes in toward the face. And you can add some movement at your ankle, pointing and flexing here. If you don't have blocks, you can have fingertips on the earth if that feels accessible. You can also straddle that front leg rather than be on the inside of the front foot. So you got options. You deep breath. One more thing you can play with here is keeping the toes flexed toward your face and then rotating from your thigh, spinning your thigh bone in the hip socket from left to right. So toward the pinky toe edge, as well as the big toe side. And you're trying to do that with minimal movements of the hips. You want to isolate that movement in just the socket. And you might choose to keep your left hand down, so hand opposite the front leg, and then turn toward that front thigh, spreading the arms nice and wide. One more full breath in. And as you exhale, let's release and reset in downward facing dog. Take a moment to get there. Couple breaths. As you breathe in, lift the left leg up and back. Exhale, plant the foot between your hands and find your crescent lunge. So up to you. Back heel might be grounded to begin, or you're on the ball of the back foot. Hands might stay on the hips here, focusing on the low body, and or reach the arms up on the next inhale. Turn the palms toward the wall behind you. Keep reaching through the top fingers. And as you exhale, tilt the chest slightly forward. Sweep the arms by your side. Let's hold this first one, hugging the shoulder blades closer together. And on the next inhale, reach up. And as you breathe out, tilt the chest, sweep your arms. Another round. Inhale, arms all the way to the sky. And on your exhale, arms back by your side. This time, inhale, arms up. And then as you exhale, option to bring hands to your heart. Take an in breath to prepare, and then option for revolved crescent lunge. So you're turning toward that front thigh, maybe hooking the right elbow on the outside of the leg. Again, you can totally come onto the back knee and choose to focus on the twist. And sometimes it's easier to come onto the back knee and then straighten the leg. It's still a challenging pose, so wherever you're at, do your best to keep breathing. Notice if you can draw thumbs to the center of the chest and lift the chest in toward your thumbs. Just 1 or 2 more breaths. And then we'll find runner's lunge. So hands to the inside of the front foot, taking that foot wide so you've got space to lower down, keeping the knee stacked over your ankle. And maybe you're staying on the earth with hands on the ground. Again, if those blocks are handy, just bringing them into play here, either under hands or maybe forearms. And we're still trying to reach the heart forward as you stamp that front foot down. And come back to your intentional breaths. This is often when that monkey chatter starts to get a little louder. So do what you can to stay present. And maybe just focus on lengthening the breath in and out. And as you did on the other side, you might keep that front foot where it is, but squeeze the inside of the knee in toward the body. And you can also flex the front foot and open the knee away from you. Option to continue with that movement, toggling that front thigh closer to you and away from you. And then if you choose to, you can add the quad stretch. So since I showed you on the forearm, I'll show you what it looks like on the palms. And again, this can be palm on block or palm on the earth. You can see that front hand opposite the front leg, slightly out in front of your shoulder. So rather than underneath you, create a bigger base. Then you're going to reach back for the back foot and maybe just reach in that direction. You're going to catch the back foot, maybe starting with the big toe side. If you've got the big toe side, you can keep your chest and hips facing forward, the top short edge of your mat. If you'd like, you can roll your grip over the toes to the pinky toe side and then peel the chest open, maybe flex the front foot and open that thigh away from you and really press down through that front hand to encourage that lift and length in the chest and spine. And 1 or 2 more breaths. And then we're going to gently release and come into our hamstring stretch. So you can bring those blocks with you. Hips shift back, maybe heel slides a little forward. And again, you can bring those blocks taller if that feels helpful. Find a place that works for your body. You can be still or point and flex the front foot a few times. You can add your internal and external rotation of the thigh. So foot stays flexed, toes toward the nose, and then rock to the pinky toe side, as well as the big toe edge. And you're doing your best to just isolate that movement of the thigh bone rotating in your hip socket. And then last but not least, maybe the front hand opposite the front leg stays down and you turn toward the front thigh with the arms wide. Another full belly breath. And with an exhale, go ahead and release and reset. Option for down dog or a few breaths in child's pose. And just observe how this one might feel different than the first. Maybe take 1 more deep breath in. Option to sigh and out the mouth. Slowly shift forward, and we'll have you come onto your back. So legs can sweep out from underneath. Go ahead and lower all the way to the ground. And if it feels good, you can draw knees closer to you, either holding on to the hamstrings or the kneecaps. You might draw some circles with the knees together. After a few times one way, you can spin the other direction. And an option for happy baby. So knees can go wide, soles of the feet lift up to the sky. You can grab the back of your hamstrings here. You can also grab the inside of the ankles or even the edges of your feet, kind of like the inner ankles. That way you can use your elbows to press the knees open even wider. Glue your tailbone down to the earth, and then add your rocking a la happy baby. And of course, you can play around here, extending one leg. Maybe the other stays bent, alternating between bending and straightening. And if there's anything else you feel called to take, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, maybe just bring the legs down to the ground for a moment, widen the feet, and then let your knees swish over to one side. So similar to that pose that we started with, but on our back. And then switch the knees back through center over to the other side. You can go back and forth a couple more rounds. Just an option here to close out the practice with a twist. You've got both knees to the right, feet wide. You might choose to cross the right ankle on the left outer thigh down by the knee. You've got that ankle crossed on top. Option to take the left arm to the top left corner of the mat. So you're really opening up that whole left side body. And you're either letting gravity encourage the legs down to earth, or maybe encouraging that direction by letting that top leg get heavy on the bottom thigh. And then I'll have you gently release. Let's push both knees over to the left. So feet wide, knees to the left. You might stay here. You might cross the left ankle on top of the right outer thigh, closer to the knee. And then sweep the right arm to the top right corner of the mat. Again, noticing what you can do to really create space along that right side body and the right kneecap, through the right hip and out the right fingertips. Maybe one or two more breaths. And then go ahead and release. If you'd like to take a moment in constructive rest, feet can stay wide and knees can come together like a pyramid. You can rest hands on the body. And if you prefer to butterfly the knees open and bring the soles of the feet to touch, feel free to arrive there. Maybe just take another 3 to 5 full belly breaths. Perhaps soften your eyes. And just let the body be breathed. And if you're ready to extend the legs, you can slowly slide the heels away from the body and let the feet fall away from each other. Hands might continue to rest on the heart and the belly, or they can transition down by your sides with the palms facing the sky. And take a moment to just tune back in, turning your awareness to any sensations within the body. And just observe any changes. And if there's anywhere else you can relax and release. I'll keep you in quiet for these next few moments and let you know when it's time. And if you have the means to stay as you are for a little longer, feel free to milk this Shavasana. Otherwise, take a nice full belly breath back into the body and reintroduce some little movements by waking up the toes and your fingers, perhaps ankles and wrists. And you might choose a full body stretch with an even deeper breath. And perhaps taking a moment to bend your knees and roll over to one side, pausing in a fetal position. And as always, there is no rush. And we'll conclude with just one more breath all together. Start by emptying all the air from your lungs. Take a fresh breath in through the nose. Option to draw hands to your heart. And let your breath go. Thank you all for continuing to show up and share your practice. I look forward to spending more time with you in the new year. Namaste.